Okay, why are we still pretending that everyone needs a full tower? Over the last 2 years, I feel like the market has quietly moved on. Like microTX motherboard sales have absolutely exploded lately. In some markets, the AM5B650 platform is just dominating with 10x sales over a single year. And honestly, that makes total sense. Like sure, GPUs have gotten bigger, but everything else in terms of SATA stacks or drives have moved on to NVMe. Internal PCIe sound cards are a rare sight these days. Everything's been moved to external on-the-desk solution. Capture cards are kind of a niche at this point, and multi-GPU setups are non-existent. And most gaming setups in 2026 utilize a single PCIe slot or maybe two, so somehow ATX motherboards and giant cases have kept their size but lost most of the reason to exist. And that is why microTX form factors have gone from budget to logical, because smaller footprint, cheaper motherboards, less wasted space, and almost no real compromise for the average builder. So it is absolutely clear that Montech saw this opportunity and said, hey, in this economy, what makes sense is a $69 enclosure that can do air cooling, that can do liquid cooling, and it can also do, if you would desire, sandwich-style ITX configuration. That is a massive W in my books. And in this market, where some brands charge $80 for a motherboard tray, the Montech TEN feels like a sensible choice. It's microTX, it's 69 bucks, and it's celebrating Montech's 10-year anniversary. I am glad they went with this value/sensible route instead of doing something crazy and expensive for their 10-year anniversary. Of course, there are some cost-cutting methods here and there, but that is totally fine for the balanced package that the 10 offers. Now, when we talk about the form factor, the case is 30 liters on the exterior. So not super compact, not going into the ITX space, but that's fine because on the microTX side, this is still way smaller than your traditional mid-tower, but it can do basically the same stuff in terms of ATX power supply support, 360 radiator compatibility, giant GPU support, while costing significantly less and also having a much smaller footprint. In terms of design, this is a very conservative approach. There's not even a single logo on the exterior. It is just full mesh on the exterior, which is good for airflow. And I don't mind that there's that, see-through nature. I love it when we have a little bit of color contrast on the exterior panels. So for the white model, the metal mesh is gray, but the exterior pieces, which are plastic, are white. Same thing for the top panel, so the edges are in white, but the main metal mesh filter is in silver, while the side panel is full metal, so it is silver. No white plastic pieces here. And everything is uniform black on the black model, so the plastic and the metal match perfectly. The one unfortunate design oversight with the top panel is the plastic X on the interior. It's there so that the panel is not completely flexing, but naturally, there's a tiny gap between the metal mesh and the plastic, so if you have any vibrations happening on the interior of the case, you would definitely hear it. So the user experience with the 10 actually is pretty straightforward in terms of removing all the side panels. Everything is toolless. All right, so with all the exterior panels removed, there are a few things to notice. Number one is the side radiator bracket is easily removable with just 2 screws, but it will support up to a 360 radiator if you remove the rear exhaust fan that is included. And notice this bracket is above your GPU space. So even if you're installing something super tall, it's not going to interfere with anything installed on the side here. Unfortunately, the case is not wide enough to support something like the NHU12A from Noctua. This thing is just too tall, but it will support the Noctua D12L, which is 145 millimeters, and it's a super capable heatsink for air cooling. So right off the bat, you're looking at the massive advantage versus like an SFF enclosure that doesn't support standard tower heatsinks, but at the same time still giving you space at the top for 3 120mm fans or dual 140s, for example, if you want additional exhaust or intake, and the same thing for the bottom. GPU compatibility is good, cooling is good, but when it comes to power supplies, that's where you might encounter compatibility issues, especially with this configuration where the power supply is installed on the side of the motherboard. So with an SFX power supply, this is going to be not an issue at all. There's still plenty of space here for the cables to exit. They can reach where they need to reach without interfering with our GPU. Of course, our power supply bracket has 3 positions, top, medium, and low, kind of depending on how much space you want from the top. In the upmost top position, you can still mount an SFX-L or SFX power supplies without interfering with our GPU. But of course, this bracket can be moved to the side to give you a little bit more room for the GPU. Here you can see L1, L2, and L3 positions. So in the L1 orientation, the power supply is at the very top, so blocking the third slot for your 120mm fan, for example, so you can only do dual 140s or 120s. Then we have the L2, which clears that top space, and it will still support the radiator instead of fans as long as they are under a certain width. And then we have the L3, which is not compatible with the default SFX or SFXL bracket, because this L3 mount is only compatible with our ATX bracket. Interestingly, if you have one of these power supplies that has the cable sticking out to the side and not at the bottom, like this Corsair power supply unit, you can still mount the ATX bracket. It's fine, it fits. You just have to make sure that the top two slots are not interfering with the bracket. And this would be my ideal configuration inside the TEN. So doing some sort of air cooling with an SFX or SFXL power supplies, because the cables generally are much shorter, so I don't have to deal with too much of like cleaning things up, and without introducing any compatibility issues for my graphics card, so leaving this entire space completely open to the maximum 425mm. And I will install a triple 120s at the top for exhaust. And yeah, this would be my ideal TEN build. All right, but now let's try the M2 build, which involves liquid cooling. It is likely much easier to do without any hardware though. So the idea in the M2 mode is that now the case is inversed, with the side panel with your components on the right side instead of left. The I/O is now at the bottom, but because the case is now flipped, is going to be at the top. And the idea here is that you remove the air cooler, you install your pump, and you would install the GPU in the vertical orientation like this, with the radiator above here. I would say this configuration is not very optimal, because depending on the pump height, you might not even be able to install your GPU in vertical orientation. You also have to provide your own riser cable to connect it to the motherboard. Initially, I thought this configuration made sense because it would allow you to install the power supply slightly lower, but still not interfering with our GPU space, therefore sort of like clearing out more space at the top for radiator. But the I/O, unfortunately, cannot be relocated from this position, and in this orientation is not accessible at the bottom. I actually got excited for these three holes, but unfortunately they don't align with the I/O. So my preferred configuration here is the M1, but if you need water cooling, you still have all this space above. You don't need to invert the frame. And now it is time to try the i3 or the ITX mode. I'm very impressed by the user manual, by the way. Everything is quite clear. And the premise with the ITX configuration is that we make it into a sandwich style enclosure. This is all pretty simple to do, but I just wish there weren't 1,000 screws. In this instance, we do have to cut off the zip ties. And you notice things are labeled on the actual frame for a little more guidance. And so far, it's not as a frustrating experience as I was expecting it to be. I have a feeling the ITX mode is going to be my least favorite, just because we are now introducing a riser cable that I have to source myself. We do have the most amount of space for our GPU on this side, but the power supply is actually meant to go with the motherboard over here, and you are only allowed to install SFX or SFXL. All right, ITX motherboard going in. Let's do a 280 at the top. All right, so that's what that looks like. And our power supply SFX or SFXL only will be mounted in these three positions closer to the motherboard. And the problem becomes with any vertical mount installation, even if you have the GPU fully secured, it's still going to experience some wobble, and the included anti-GPU sag bracket can only be used for horizontal GPUs, not vertical. So this is what that looks like. The anti-GPU sag bracket sandwiches the graphics card, so it's not going anywhere. And honestly, the M1 is like my ideal configuration for micro ATX with a proper SFX power supply with good length cables. You still have all this space. You can reach into all the crevices for cable management, for mounting cooling at the top underneath the GPU. It's pretty awesome. And because of that see-through nature and ventilation everywhere, you're gonna get decent airflow. And I actually don't mind that you can see all the way. With proper color coordination, this can fit into any gaming / office space, you know? Now with this particular configuration with 3 120mm fans at the top and my SFX power supply in the front with the cables facing up so that I can bunch them up away, I cannot move the fans closer because of the cables, but I cannot mount the fans otherwise because the housing of our extension cable at the back is right there. And it seems like Montech has thought of that because we have these spacers, letting you install 120mm fans while utilizing the 140 mounting location here and the interior 120mm here, like this. For our bottom fan underneath the GPU, I can mount it for the top position here with the screws, but not at the bottom. There's just something blocking on the motherboard side. Our storage options are pretty clever. We have two SSD mounts right in the front here. You mount these rubber grommets these metal pegs on your SSD, and it's a toolless assembly all the way through. It holds the SSD nicely with it facing down so you can route it. It would eat into your GPU clearance a little bit, but still a good way to utilize this front space behind the front cover. They are going to be slightly visible, but that's just the nature of this mesh, you know? You can further mount an SSD or a 3.5-inch drive on your SFX PSU bracket. There's also this bracket for 2.5 or 3.5-inch drive that gets mounted on any 120mm fan mount inside the case. Either the top or the bottom, you decide. In general, I think we have a winner on our hands with the Montech TEN. It seems to balance out both price, build quality, features, like even including a 20 gigabits per second USB Type-C port, which is awesome. Like Fractal Design's latest POP2 Vision and POP2 Air don't even have a 20 gigabits per second port, and it's way more expensive. In this economy where you have to start to prioritize the budget less towards maybe the GPU, but more towards the RAM price because of how expensive everything is, like spending less on the enclosure without a giant compromise just feels like a massive, logical, sensible thing to do. Basically, for those who are trying to downsize their full towers, their mid towers to something smaller, but are not necessarily willing to try the SFF route because of expensive ITX motherboards and kind of insane cable management when it comes to SFF builds, microTX makes more sense. I'm even considering downsizing my gaming full tower into microTX so it can live on my desk. And that is something I'm planning to do in 2026, but let me know if this is on the horizon for you guys for potentially new builds or reconfiguring your current systems, because with component pricings the way they are, changing the enclosure or changing the cooler might be the only way to kind of still play around with PC building without going into debt of new builds altogether. All right, guys, I'm Dmitry. Thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you in the next video.